I've got 5:31 actually, so we'll go ahead and get our meeting called to order. It is good to see all of you this afternoon. There's a weird sound, Jonathan. It's like an echo or something. Do you need me to stop or you want me to keep talking? Okay. All right. I do want to remind you that tonight is our workshop meeting. The only item that we will be voting on this evening is the agenda. Everything else will be for discussion purposes only. We do have agendas on the podium back here that you can grab and follow along as we go through. We also have a couple of public hearings that will start our meeting. So Rob, I'll turn the floor over to you to conduct those public hearings, and then we'll get the meeting started.
We have two public hearings tonight. First, I'd like everybody to know that the City of Tipton's written public hearing procedures, City of Tipton standards for exercising zoning powers, and the majority conflict of laws available as a handout and a public review. First item tonight under consideration is zoning application PP23-0037. It's requesting to amend the city's land development code, chapter 7 on signage, by amending regulations on billboards, stanchion signs, non-conforming signs, and other subsections. Prior to asking for any public comment, I'm going to ask Crystal Delia if you come up and let the public know what these amendments are about.
Thank you, Rob. We've had several public meetings discussing the sign ordinance, and every time that we've come back to a public meeting from the sign ordinance has gotten better and better, and I feel that it's really meeting the needs of the citizens and the sign companies as well. I'd like to go over a history of the sign ordinance, the latest copy of it with everyone in the room, and then I have red line copies of the sign ordinance if anyone would like a copy. On June 12, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission met and postponed their vote until the July 7th meeting for further information. On July 7th, they met again and recommended approval of the sign ordinance. On July 17th, public hearing and City Council met and presented the draft ordinance. And on July 24th, the City Council met and voted to postpone to future meetings, asking for further meetings with interested parties to get additional information on the draft ordinance. On August 2nd, 2023, city staff held a meeting with interested parties along with the mayor. On August 21st, 2023, at the public hearing and City Council, we presented a revised draft ordinance and a summary of suggested changes. And since the ordinance had had substantial changes since being presented to Planning and Zoning, we went back to Planning and Zoning on August 28th, 2023, and presented a revised draft ordinance. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. And on October 2nd, here we are tonight. So we've had several meetings over this draft ordinance, so I'm not going to go through it line by line. I feel like we've heard most of it, but I wanted to catch the high points from what changed from the last public hearing to this meeting. So in the definition sections, we added air-blown advertisement devices and multi-tenant signs. On prohibited signs, we added roof signs to the list. Sign setbacks, we added a 5-foot setback to freestanding signs. On billboard signs, instead of having the replacement program where you had to tear down a sign in order to build a new billboard sign, we created two standards for maximum sizes of billboard signs: 400 square feet in the city and 672 square feet along the I-75 right-of-way, with a maximum overall height of 60 feet. So doing away with the idea of the replacement programming and using the controls that we already have in place with limiting the locations of signs. We had the stanchion sign section. We added provisions for high-rise signs within 1,000 feet of I-75. Additionally, we changed the maximum sign area for stanchion signs and the maximum height relative to the parcel size. So the way that we currently do it is small parcels get smaller signs, bigger parcels get bigger signs. We added height restrictions based on that. So prior to the ordinance change, you could build an 80-foot tall sign on any parcel size. So we added the restrictions based on the parcel size. So small signs shorter to the ground, bigger signs higher up. We added a multi-tenant sign section. We changed the non-conforming sign section to allow for face change outs as long as the height and sign area did not increase. We rewrote the variance section in its entirety, and we added regulations for stick signs having 2 per parcel. So that's the high points. Again, I have copies if anyone would like.
All right, this time I'd like to ask, does anyone here like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone like to speak in opposition to this application? All right, sir, come up and state your name and your address.
Mayor, Council, not really speaking against, it's just for your consideration. My name is Danny Wallace. I live at 222 Hall Road. I'm also part owner and operator of Wallace Signs LLC. So the only thing, I did get to attend the public hearing with the P&Z, so I don't do the billboards. We do the billboards, but what y'all were doing did not affect us. We do the maintenance, building, face change out, so we don't own the billboards. So that didn't really affect us. But what I do want to talk about is the stanchion signs. So everything pretty much, P&Z, pretty much they listened to everything and y'all got the recommendations. There's just one other thing. Can I pass out the papers to the council? So stanchion signs are an economical way for, there's only 3, so I just put you a few pictures on there. Stanchion signs are an economical way for a business to advertise that they are at that location. And so these are some of the signs that are in the historic district that could be affected by this ordinance. Now, if this ordinance moves forward the way it is, it will not affect these signs at all. You'll be able to change the faces, they'll be able to stay in place. But nobody will have an opportunity to put in a sign like that in the future, because stanchion signs will be prohibited. So these signs cost anywhere between $300 and $600, depending on, how fancy you want to get. And if you go to monument only, it's about 4 to 5 times that price. So that can get expensive for a new business owner. So I just want to put that out there for y'all to consider. And also, I have one last one. You're going to love this picture. And I did have one for you.
Okay.
Right? You remember the picture?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
So this picture, I'll leave one for y'all too. So this picture is Suicide Alley, right? Highway 82, looking back at 75. Signs everywhere, there's signs, right? So what's missing? What's the biggest thing that's missing from that? First of all, I'd like to point out that on the left is the county and on the right is the city. You know what's missing? Trees. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all that's missing. You throw some trees in there, regulate the buffer in the front, make them have some trees, your signs come down or go up, which we're limiting the height, so it'll keep them down. And it also makes for a more pleasant looking corridor. So that's all I got. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone else like to speak in opposition to this application? No further public comment. I ask that public hearing be closed.
Okay, all right. Our next public hearing, Rob, I'll turn that over to you, also does involve one of our council members. So Lester is actually going to leave the council table and go out to the audience so that he can basically take his council hat off at this point in time. And so we'll turn that back over to you, Rob, to start
Right,
that public hearing.
All right, this is going to be a public hearing on zoning application number PP 23-0045. It's submitted by Cromer Outreach Center LLC. It's requesting rezone of approximately 0.257 acres on Tipton El Dorado Road from residential R8 to general business. This map and parcel number T058-085. At this time, I'll ask council the conflict of interest questions. Have any of these applicants or opponents to the application contributed to at least $250 to any of the campaigns for election during the past 2 years?
No.
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 Do you or any members of your family have a property interest that would be affected by the proposed rezoning or reclassification of the property, whether it is a positive or negative impact?
No.
No.
And I believe Mr. Cromer's already recused himself. Do you or any members of your family have a financial interest in a business entity that has a property interest in a real property that would be affected by the proposed rezoning and reclassification of the property, whether it's a positive or negative impact?
No.
Okay. All right, again, I'd like to ask Crystal Gilliard if she would come up and inform the council and public about this rezoning application.
Thank you, Jonathan. The Tipton Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed application PP 230045 on August 28, 2023, and unanimously recommended approval with conditions on the use being limited to an outreach center/event center. Given the recommendations for conditional use on the zoning application, I'd like to go over all of the permissible uses within the general business zoning district. Those that are highlighted on the screen, and I apologize in advance, I did not realize it would look so small on the screen. On my computer screen, it looked much bigger. But these are indeed all of the uses, and I can go over all of them if need be. In the past, I've read them all aloud, but I think we can get the general gist of what's allowable in general business. And those that are highlighted, those are conditional uses, so all of those would be required to go to planning and zoning and city council prior to being able to operate those businesses. Go to the next one. Thank you. Parcel T058085 is currently split zoned, with portions of the property being R8 and the other being multi-residential. The applicant, Lester Cromer, on behalf of Cromer Outreach Center LLC, is requesting to rezone .257 acres from R8 to general business for the purposes of opening an outreach center/event center. Shown on the screen is the, go back one for me, is the zoning map. The flag is the subject area, and again, the area currently zoned R8, that is shown purple on the screen. Other parts of the property are zoned MR and R8, so you can see the uses around the subject property. All those that are zoned purple, those are all residential, and then multi-residential is shown in that, pink fuchsia type color on the screen. Thanks. Shown on the screen is a survey of the property. The area with the label church is the subject area. Great. And this is an aerial view of the property, so you can see the former church building right there on the screen. To the next one. All right, perfect. Shown is a current picture of the subject property. The building on the site is a former church to be turned into an outreach center. To the next one. This is the view facing east and view facing west, so residential primarily in nature. There is a church up the street on the westward facing view and a school up the street on the eastern facing view. And then this is the view facing north. It's single family residential. Great. And lastly, as detailed in the staff summary, the property is located within the South Tifton residential character area of the 2023 City of Tifton Comprehensive Plan. According to the plan, the development strategy is to preserve and rehabilitate what remains of the original housing stock while rebuilding on vacant land, new, attractive neighborhoods following the principles of traditional neighborhood development. The neighborhood should include a well-designed new neighborhood activity center at an appropriate location, which would provide a focal point for a grocery store, a hardware store, or similarly appropriately scaled retail establishments serving the residents. And that's on page 95 of the comprehensive plan.
Lester Cromer, 112 West 11th Street. Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about the proposed outreach center on the property under consideration for zoning change. This center has the potential to be a transformative addition to our community, bringing a host of benefits that can positively impact the lives of our residents. At its core, our outreach center can address specific needs within our community. It can provide vital services such as educational programs, job training, counseling, and health resources. By consolidating these services in one location, we can ensure that those who need assistance can access it easily, leading to improve the well-being and overall quality of life. Furthermore, the Outreach Center can become a catalyst for positive change. It can host workshops, seminars, and events that promote educational, cultural understanding, and creativity. By offering a diverse range of activities, the center can attract people of all ages and backgrounds, fostering a sense of enrichment and lifelong learning. In conclusion, the establishment of an outreach center on the property subject to zoning change holds incredible promises for our community. It has the potential to create a sense of unity, offer vital services, spark positive change, and promote sustainable practices. I urge you to consider the lasting benefits that this center can bring to our residents and grant the zoning change necessary to make this vision a reality. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application?
Okay, all right, thank you, Rob. Councilman Kramer, we'll invite you back to the desk. So that concludes our two public hearings. We have called our meeting to order. I do want to acknowledge that Councilman M.J. Hall is calling in. He's actually out of town, so he's with us in spirit, but certainly with us on the phone. So M.J., thank you for being with us this evening. Gentlemen, at this point in time, I will call for an approval of the agenda. We do have one item that we'll need to set aside. That is item number 7 that's on your agenda. We'll set that aside and bring that back at a later meeting. But other than that one change, I'll take a motion concerning our agenda.
Move to approve.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, our first presentation of the evening, I'm excited to hear from our own Rosalie Reeder and our Tift County Tourism folks. They do a great job for us and coordinating events, bringing visitors to our community. So Rosalie, Tyron, and Angela, I'll turn the floor over to y'all and... Oh, okay.
Yeah, the girls are doing that, me go first.
Okay.
Since my name's on the placard out front. First, let me say what a great honor it is to represent Tifton. Wherever we may go or whatever we may do, they know that we are from Tifton, Georgia, and we have a good image. Y'all should be very proud, even though we did a lot of the work, very proud of your tourism committee and your tourism money coming in to help fund the city and the county, and some of it goes to the county as well. But we've had a good run. We've had the largest celebration of any festival that we've had, the Rhythm and Ribs Barbecue Festival, and that's pretty dynamic. And then they came behind that with La Fiesta, another festival, and we keep building on festivals, and that brings a lot of people to town. If you saw the splosh money showing what was gained by various cities, you were gaining more with your tourism money through splosh and the 1% sales tax than Albany or Valdosta. One reason is you have a lot of activities and a lot of things going on, and we try to make that happen every weekend. As you know, the tourism tax is about 7%, 3% going to you and 3% assigned to us. We had a budget last year of about $800,000, and through our volunteer members on our board, we have 2 from the city and 2 from the county, 2 from tourism. They all work together and they're all volunteers, and they love it, and we appreciate them very much. This past year, in 2002, we collected $715,000, and in 2003, $804,000, and that's a 12% increase. Not bad for a team that's all volunteers and working hard. To make this thing happen, we had to divide it up, and because we are so blessed with the assets and this type of thing, we have the University of Georgia, which is one team. We have Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, facilities and staffs, they all work together. And then we have the third one area that's really expanding is the recreation department, which you're a part of, and we're going to be expanding that and trying to go after more teams as soon as our facilities get ready. And then besides that, the outreach marketing group has been phenomenal, bringing more, tried 1 festival, tried 2 festivals, and now we're working on hometown holidays. So it's a fun thing. I appreciate the honor of you letting me serve you, Through the Spearman Agency, it's been a great run, and I hope to keep going. This is my 45th edition of the Sunbelt Ag Expo in 2 weeks, and the first one that was started was right here in Tifton, and I was the promoter for that one, called the Dealers Day 45 years ago. Rosalie's going to give you a little rundown on some of the projects we got going now. Rosalie?
So our team just got back from the Explore Georgia conference out at Jekyll Island. So the governor speaks on tourism out there for the state. So as soon as he speaks on the state, we get our statistics for Tift County as well. So visitor spending not only regained the ground that it set in 2019 for its high, but it exceeded it with $185.9 million in visitor spending. So that's ahead almost $50 million from 2019. These numbers are really outstanding, with lodging at $58.3 million, food and beverage at $48.4 million, retail at $32.9 million, and transportation at $35.1 million. Tyron spoke a little bit about recreation, which is not on y'all's sheet right there, but that is at $11.2 million. So we are expecting, with the expansion of EB Hamilton, for that number to increase drastically. With that spending, it was $14.4 million in state and local taxes that were collected, and that's $944 in tax savings per household. So that's a little bit of the economic impact for tourism for our county. Something that we did in 2022 was our new visitors guide, which y'all should have one in front of you. Over 5,000 copies were delivered across the state and distributed to different CVBs and DMOs. With that, we have new photos that were taken, new events added, and also new hotels added. So the last time it was redone was 2017, and after that, we had 2 new properties that were built since then. And something else that we had in there is, in Tift County, you can pick something year-round. So that's something that makes us unique with our U-Pick farms. These are in our new hotel stands. Copies are at the Chamber of Commerce, of course, and then we have some in our airport that we're all going to be at on Thursday night, I'm sure, for Sunset Tifton. And of course, at the Visitor Center out at the Country Store. We met back in January of 2022 with our board and other members of the town and our county to see what we can improve on. And one thing that we wanted to improve on was trade shows. So Angela and I attended something called ASAE. It's Association Executives, American Society of Association Executives. So we were there with the Explore Georgia team in our matching outfits, promoting Tifton as a whole, and we met with hundreds of meeting planners because we do have 2 large conference centers that people can meet at that can hold up to 2,000 people. So of course that brings people into our town, and we're signed up to attend a religious conference management association event in January as well in San Antonio. So Angela and I will pack our bags, and we will be represented with the state of Georgia along with 17 other CBBs and DMOs. Tyron spoke a little bit about our community co-op grants. We allocate $60,000 in community co-op grants for the advertising of events and marketing of those events. A few of those including the Omega Pepper Festival that's held in Omega, and that's at the beginning of September. It was really successful this year. Of course, like Tyron says, they build every year. Another 6 String Productions that comes out to the UGA Conference Center and holds concerts, and we're thankful that Ashley McBride will be here November 3rd, and they are back. La Fiesta de Pueblo and Hometown Holidays are just a few of those. Product development funds, Tyron spoke on the tax, so there's 7% tax, 3 of that's allocated to y'all, 3 is allocated to us, and then that 1% is the tourism product development funds. So the disc golf course is almost completed in Fullwood Park, and a little over $50,000 has been spent so far. $250,000 has been committed to the playground at Fullwood Park, and then $250,000 has been committed to the pickleball that is going to be behind the pool there and completely redone. But that's just a little bit about what we have going on. And like Tyron said, it's a pleasure to be able to serve y'all. Tourism is big business in Tift County as well as the state, and we love our job. So it's an easy job, but it's definitely a hard one as well. Does anybody have any questions? Jack Folk? Come on, hit me, man.
I wouldn't dare do that to you, Rosalie.
Come on.
No question. Good. Thank you for that presentation.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody? I would like to note that tax savings, the $944 is the highest amongst South Georgia. We're ahead of, I can't say it, Doherty County and Lowndes County as well. So those are the two biggest counties and largest counties. But we're proud of what we do and everything that we can do for the city of Tifton.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie.
All right, is that it, everybody? Angela, you're not speaking tonight? No. Okay. Well, I know I speak on behalf of this entire council when I say thank you to the work that the three of you do. What you do is amazing. The ground that you cover, the results that you provide for this community, and we're very, very thankful. And Tifton is very unique in the fact that we do have our tourism association set up the way that it is. It's been in existence for many, many years, since the 1980s at some point in time. And the results are here in the numbers. I mean, you can't really argue that. So we're very proud of y'all. Any questions or comments, gentlemen, for the tourism team?
I've been thinking hard. If I'd have thought of it, I would have come up with one for Rosalie, but I should have thought harder, Rosalie.
Yeah.
Just call me after.
We got your number.
I'll do that.
Well, thank you for what you do. It makes a big difference in this town. And, you know, I hear so many people talk, you know, when I get to travel and represent Tifton like you do in different maybe arenas sometimes, but people are always, how do y'all do that in Tifton? How'd you get this? How'd you get that? How'd you put that together? And it's because of y'all and our tourism board, and we do have two appointees that represent the city of Tifton. That would be William Bowen and Frank Sales, I believe. Did I get that correct? Okay. And they do a good job, and I know they've both served for a long time. We're thankful for their service, as well as the other tourism board members and what they do. So thank y'all very much for that.
We're gonna miss Jack.
I know. I know.
He's a good worker.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No more questions.
But thank you for being here tonight as well. All right, moving along, we've got under old business the review of the zoning application on the city's land development code, of which we'll call our sign ordinance. Any questions, comments?
I got a question.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
My friend Danny passed out some pictures. So what, like, uniquely yours and some of these that we've seen that are okay now, I guess they're being grandfathered in, but one like that can't be put back up. And I know you've told me, what would go up like for uniquely yours in place of that? What can they put out there? If it's still right, you know, like it's one.
I didn't get to see it, so I can't.
Well, Danny was a little bit cheap with the paper and didn't want to give us a lot of copies. He learned well when he was working.
Provided
for the
3
city.
copies for 14 people. You're fine. We can share. It's fine.
I think what Mr. Wallace has brought up is a fair point. You know, usually when we think of stanchion signs, we think of pole signs.
Mm-hmm.
Higher rise.
And these are probably technically stanchion signs, not pole signs. So I know probably my sign in the historic district is just like.
You gotta take it
So is
down.
mine. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is, in my,
Yeah.
Take it
I'm
down.
not giving you an opinion,
I'm grandfather.
but seems fairly compatible with the
Right.
historic district. So I think what the issue Mr. Wallace brought up is a fair point. You might want to consider, I think that we're looking at a pole sign, which is a stanchion sign.
Like these and this more along the 82. Yeah.
Right. So you wouldn't want those, a
Right.
pole sign, a stanchion sign that kind of resembles a monument sign. Those would look like monument signs if they were
On a pole.
on poles.
Yeah.
So we need to clarify that in the.
I think so.
I I'd be curious to get, MJ, I know you haven't seen these signs with the majority of the historic district being in your district. We need to, I'd like to get a copy of this emailed to MJ. Do you know what he's talking about, MJ, when we're talking about these signs that are in the historic district?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
I think the issue is gonna, what would be the effort we'd have to try to make is how we're gonna differentiate between a stanchion sign that would be permissible, in
Right.
the historic district versus a pole sign.
okay,
Because they're basically,
Right.
the same definition when talking about stanchion signs. So somehow we're gonna
Right.
have to.
and those signs would still be subject to approval or disapproval by the Historic Preservation Commission. We just need to clarify that for them. That's what you're saying, okay.
I mean, would it be as simple as examples of, this is acceptable, and then Joe on his pole and say, this is not acceptable,
Simplify.
and kind of,
Mr. Wallace might have an idea. Do you want to?
Okay, yeah. I don't know, if the council's okay, I have no problem with that.
This one.
So by the definition, what they're talking about is right. It's on a pole, so
Yeah.
it's not supported by the base. A monument sign, the sign is actually supported by the base of
Right.
and so it doesn't matter if it has 2 poles or 7 poles, it's still a stanchion. So my recommendation was to further limit the height of the historic district and maybe even perhaps further limit the square footage size.
Okay, would that need to go back to planning and zoning, or?
I don't believe so. I
Okay.
think if we just make the distinction that we are not preferring the single pole mounted signs.
Uh-huh.
So an example would be hip hop fish and chicken.
Right,
That instead of it being the single pole at such a height, it would be the double pole and
Right.
limited to the size requirements of a monument sign. That way it still gets the same look.
sure.
But I don't feel that that's a substantial enough change, Rob.
I don't
Okay.
think so either. Because I think we're still looking at the same vein of what we're trying to prohibit in the historic district. And I think what Danny and Chris were saying is right, we can probably make that work by looking at dimensions and height
Okay.
and bring that back.
Okay, is that something you can work on and submit to us for a consideration for that? Okay, and then we could review that for the next meeting? Okay. All right.
So, but with this,
Any other questions, comments?
I have some
Oh,
clarification.
okay.
For the recommendation, would this just be a change for the historic district or the overall?
Just for the historic district.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do is protect the whole historic district from both sides, basically.
Okay. All right, everybody good? Anything else, Jessica, that you have? Jessica, anything else you need?
Oh,
You good?
yeah,
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Just trying to write what they were, get on the same page.
I understand. All right, y'all good? We'll move on? Okay, all right, let's go. All right, under new business, Emily's going to talk to us about participating in the HEAT program. So, Emily?
This is a program that the City of Tifton has joined in for many years. This is a program that funnels through our customer service department. It is a low-income home energy assistance program through DFACS. The HEAT program helps struggling Georgians pay their heating bills when the cooler months come around. This is something that if it is approved, we have a letter that goes out in all of the utility bills, and customers are able to donate if they wish. All of these funds does go to DFACS, and then it's selected through a process of who gets these funds to help with their heating energy assistant bill. Again, this is something the city has contributed to or participated in many years in the past, and we're just asking to go forward with that.
Okay, and again, to just reiterate, that's voluntary donations
That's
from
correct.
users that are being billed that currently have natural gas to give a little bit of their payment to go and support this.
Yes,
So,
and if they wish to donate, all of the instructions will be in the utility bills, and there's different monetary amounts that they can contribute, anything from $1 and up that they
Okay.
can.
all right. Any questions about that? It's been a good program. I think it's helped a lot of people, so I don't think there'll be any issue moving forward with that. Okay, the next item on our agenda, I'm turning it over to Larry, our CFO, on a resolution approving the 2023 budget amendment number 2.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I bring to you some budget amendments on last year's budget, just to shore up a few line items to keep the Department of Audit, the state audit department happy, and they like a balanced budget, and we like a balanced budget. So just to shore up a few line items there. So looking at the general fund, we actually had a good year on the general fund. Our revenues were $16.5 million, and our expenses were $15.5 million. So expenses were $1 million under revenue, so that was good. But there was a few line items we needed to straighten out. One in particular was the largest amount was the fire truck that we purchased early. We were going to budget it for next year for $620,000, but we found one on the lot ready to go for $480,000. So we jumped on it and put it in last year's budget. So we need a line item adjustment on that one. And the others are just minor items on the other 8 items. Also, we're adding opioid settlements fund. Over this last year, we received some opioid settlements from drug manufacturers from Johnson & Johnson and Janssen's for $41,000. So to keep that separate, we set up a separate fund on that. And we have to use that for opioid-related rehab. So that's all set up. And we'll be receiving some more in the future, probably from some pharmacies on that. So we need to find some good uses for that. On the hotel motel fund, we under budgeted on the revenues there, so we had to make an adjustment there to bring revenues, the actual revenues in with the budgeted revenues. So that's just a minor adjustment on that. On SPLOST 5, we had a minor adjustment there. The fire department spent $30,000 on facilities upgrade, and the sewer fund spent $30,000 on GIS mapping. So that's just an additional $60,000 on the budget on SPLOST 5. On SPLOST 6, we had, information technology. We didn't budget anything for them, but they spent $81,000 on that, so we need to add that line item in there. And then the police department purchased vehicles for $295,000. That was in the capital projects fund, which is the next item there. We moved it into the SPLOST 6 fund for those vehicles. And then on the capital projects fund, just a minor adjustment there. The fire department purchased air packs, and it went $12,000 over, and the police department was $12,000 under, so we just made a minor switching that back and forth. So all in all, just minor tweaking on the budget.
Okay. It's a lot to think about, so all very important aspects of our budget. Any questions, gentlemen, on these specific items that Larry's presenting?
No, you just have to, after the year closes, you have to clean these things up. The auditors have a fit when they come in and see it in the wrong account or it hadn't been moved, and that's what Larry's doing.
Yeah, and the State Department of Audits too. They'll write us a nasty letter. Why is this not?
Auditors don't like it, and there's always these kind of cleanups that you have to do every year. But I would make one note. You probably, in your executive summary, just so your document's correct, the fire truck was planned for $620,000. You're missing a zero there. So just so your paperwork's right, that's somebody was to look at it.
Yeah, I see that.
See that? Just to clarify, so it's not confusing. Other than that, I'm okay.
Okay. Gentlemen, do y'all have any questions or anything, Larry? Okay.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, Larry, I think we're good. Thank you so much for explaining that. Again, we removed item number 7, so we'll jump on to item number 8, and that's to discuss the Cromer Outreach Center. So Lester is going to recuse himself so that we can have that discussion, and then Lester, we'll call you back when we get finished with the discussion. All right, gentlemen, any questions, comments?
Surprise, I got one.
Go ahead.
Crystal, this event center, what kind of events can be held at this event center?
Well, we updated the event center ordinance months ago, or don't hold me to that, it was months ago. It used to be that an event center could only be by individuals only, but the update several months ago allowed it to not for that you could pay for. So it used to be that you have a baby shower there, and I was invited to the baby shower so I could come. And then we'll update the ordinance that I could have a comedy show there, and I
Yeah, so like, I mean, this Chino and Letty's over here, that's an event center. They have, will there be any difference between that and this one? So comedy clubs could be held there, alcohol can be there, right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, surrounded by residential neighborhood.
As part of some on action, but it's one that occur at the property, and yes, and regulated as on money or other.
Well, isn't that part of this? Isn't that what's being asked? That's part of what.
Zoning wasn't allowed, but it was that in past conversations that brought up that that's one of the things that wanted, or that the applicant wanted to occur. So talk about it.
So do we have a firm plan of this is what we're going to have? This is the building. I assume this building is going to be remodeled. This is what's going to happen. I mean, our budget for the Anthony Bateman Youth Center is $100,000. You know, do we have financials that say, okay, we want to do this, and we've got the wherewithal to do it? Have you seen any of that?
Or we don't require that on any so I'll say no,
You wouldn't.
I haven't seen it, but it's not a normal customary thing that we would,
So this is more of like to maybe kind of have this, rezone it, and it will come.
right, discussion occurred at what types of outreach programs there, but I think what was ultimately said, but the types of activities that would be held there, but that the program is not make that on.
Okay, I'm just very, very hesitant to rezone something from residential to general business, even with conditions. One, if conditions an event center, I am totally opposed to having an event center in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Absolutely. The outreach center, is that needed? Can that be beneficial? Absolutely. No question. I'd like to see some firm plans, because that's a pretty big deal to go from residential to general business, even if it has conditions on it. So.
In looking through the application, it says, reason for the request for zoning change to open an outreach center in the former church building. Did you say, I want to make sure I understood correctly, that it was the planning and zoning that added the words event center to outreach center, or does that have to be lumped in together?
No, I meant that.
Yeah.
That the applicant wanted like events there as well, outreach activities. So I brought it up at.
I got you. Okay.
To say that that's one of the things that's like.
I got you.
Asking if that's still the plan.
He said yes. Okay. I just wanted, okay. I got you. Okay. All right. Any questions, Josh?
I guess I just would like to see more of what he's actually bringing. You talk about educational purposes, like what kind of programs, going to help people get their GEDs? Is it going to help, I don't know, get people off the street? I don't know. I mean, the outreach, system sounds great. But
Sure.
I just kind of want some more meat and potatoes on this.
Do we have the ability to ask for things like that, or is that not really in our purview? If it's outreach, it's outreach. If it's event center, it's event center, and it doesn't matter what the programs are. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think as long as you guys are considering the questions that you are asking are determining what the hours of operation. If you're running a nonprofit and your hours are 8 to 5, your impact on your neighbors are
Right.
different than running a business that closes at 11.
Right.
Another question are the activities inside of the building,
Okay.
or would they be on the outside of the building? Knowing the types of programs get into the question operating a center, there'll be outdoor kickball activities. I
Okay. What would be the time frame for us to be able to ask those questions and get the answers? I know we've got, another meeting coming up soon. I wonder, would we have the time for that? I don't want to hinder Lester, in moving forward with his plans as long as they meet the need, the requirements of the council. So I want the council to have plenty of time to get that information. What do we need to do? Do we need to delay the vote on this till we get that? I know we're not voting tonight, but we're talking about changing our meeting to next week, and my concern is, will that give us the time that we need to get those answers so that we can make a fair assessment?
The question is whether he has the answer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
he's either got the stuff or he doesn't, and if it's not nailed down.
well, let me ask this, Rob. I know Lester's recusing himself because he can't be part of this vote and this discussion. Would it be appropriate to call him back in to ask those questions? Okay.
I think,
Right.
I contemplated perhaps my question.
Yeah.
Come back in.
Why don't we do that and then
Yeah,
that,
because
I
there's just a
think,
big difference between an outreach and a
yeah,
event center.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, you ask him, if you don't mind, Josh, please ask him, just tell him if he would come back to the podium. Lester, we've got some questions. If you don't mind, if you'll just go to the podium and then we can ask those questions. All right.
Sure.
Anybody want to go first? You want me just to funnel the questions? Okay. The question was, the application was for community outreach and event center.
Right.
So the question is more so on the programming and if this is approved, explain to us the programming that would be offered to those that would attend, particularly on the event center aspect. We understand, I think, the community outreach, but
on
the other part.
the event side, it will be limited to things that happen at similar to the Leroy Rogers Center. That's what I was basing it on. It wasn't being based on the sense of some ticketed events,
Okay.
things like that. More so along the Leroy Rogers Center.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I was particularly molding the outreach center side of things, where it can be for renting as well. Was more leaning towards the Leroy Rogers Center versus a club or anything like that.
Okay.
Because I gave the word to the previous owner, which was a pastor, that I would keep it for the community.
Sure.
And I consider Leroy Rogers Center as a place where community
Right.
activity happens. And they also rent the Leroy Rogers Center.
Right.
But there's no club type things going on. And along that will typically be done at like normal event centers.
Right. Well, yeah.
So that's kind of where
you wouldn't have an event like it if Chino and Ladies wanted.
No.
It wouldn't be that kind of events. Okay.
No, I couldn't do that.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
it still was a church. So.
There you go.
And I gave my word
You
to
answer
the
to a higher power, right?
Yeah, and I gave my word to the pastor that I would keep it for the community. So everything has to go to guidelines within community use.
Gotcha.
But also the things similar to the Leroy Rogers Center will help offset, and portions of it will go to the nonprofit side, because it will be housing a nonprofit and a cemetery committee on the back side of it as well.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you're going to have events for which you're going to make money. Is that what so that you can use the profits for?
Yeah, majority of the profits will go towards the nonprofit side of everything, and also the maintenance and upkeep of the place as well. Because until we are able to get grants or anything like that for the possibility of funding all the programs that we're going to have, I have to have some source of income so I can pay the overhead, in a sense, along those lines there.
Okay, so tell me again about what events that you're going to have that are
similar to Leroy Rogers. Whatever Leroy Rogers Center has, that's kind of the guidelines that I'm going by. So, but it wouldn't be anything where it could be derogatory or anything like that. So anniversaries, birthdays, funeral recession, repasses. That's the direction. Anything like that.
So if I wanted to have a birthday party for Doug, I could come and rent the facility for
things
X amount of
along those
dollars,
lines.
and I
on a
wouldn't be
minimal
having
side.
alcohol. I wouldn't be having anything like that. It'd just be my birthday party.
Yeah.
Okay. More of a
Yeah.
family type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you own this property.
Yes.
Do you have the ability to sell this property?
To have the ability to sell, I am the owner of the property, so I have the ability to do whatever I want to
So
do.
you could sell it.
Yeah.
What would happen, Crystal? We zone it as event center, and for whatever reason, things change. Every day's a new day. Lester, for whatever, decides to sell it. Can we revoke the event center business? Because what Lester's going to do for an event center is one thing. What somebody else might do is something else.
Yeah, what you're saying was what the planning and zoning said, and I'm going to tell you just like I told them. The plans that I have for the place is far beyond what you see right now. Eventually, there's going to be a 3-story facility built, and the church is going to be a parking lot. But I have to crawl before I walk. So my goal will be to build a facility that is 3 stories and have where I house other nonprofit organizations. So I understand what you're saying, but you guys are, you're going over the what if, and I understand that. But definitely, like the planning and zoning, they say, oh, what if in 10 years? I'll say, well, in 10 years, these are my plans. So.
Yeah, but we have to look, as you know,
Yeah.
as to what happens after you. If something changes.
Well, I can't live in that because that gives me the sense of me failing, and that is not in my vocabulary. So I can't see 10 years.
I appreciate that. But
So I understand.
We can't have a residential area that all of a sudden has an event center in the middle of it. It's owned by somebody else.
Yeah, the stipulations on the event side, it's not a problem. I understand that part. But again, the Leroy Rogers Center does the same thing, and it's for the community and adults. So.
I agree, but it's not surrounded by houses. Leroy Rogers Center does not have a complete residential area.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
sure.
It's a huge deal, as you know, from the last 2 years. Listen to me up when I go to rezoning something, especially from residential to general business.
Yeah.
Red flags go up, and I have to take you out of it because it could be somebody else beside.
Oh yeah, I understand.
And you've got great plans. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the next person, for whatever reason, you could all of a sudden decide I got to go to Atlanta or wherever, and I'm going to do something different because we don't know.
Yeah.
Then we're stuck, and we've got a neighborhood that says, what? Now you've got these events and cars at 10 and 11 o'clock at night?
Well,
That's
I mean,
not what
it
we
was
signed up for when we bought our house.
I understand, but it was a church with cars at 10 o'clock at night as well.
At a church and at an event
but it's still at 10 o'clock at night,
and
it was loud drums and praising. So.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of Lester?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. That's the end of the discussion on that, Lester. So just come on back up here if you don't mind, and thank you for coming and answering those questions. All right, moving on to the other business. Our city manager has her report.
Yes, I do. I have a few things. We needed to change the council date for the original council meeting in October. It was originally scheduled for October 16th. We have a few that's going to be out of town. We won't have a quorum. So we have changed that date to October 9th. That meeting is where we will vote on everything that we talked about today, minus number 7, since it was amended and removed. But we will take a vote next Monday. So 1 week from today, we'll be right back here voting. The next thing is something good. Governor Kemp set aside $35 million this year for workforce housing. Rural Workforce Housing Initiative Grant was then put together through One Georgia Authority, through DCA. This grant has kind of 2 components. The city was approached by many developers who was interested in taking a piece of the pie. This grant, if we are awarded, it would go for the infrastructure to lay for workforce housing. This is affordable housing when you think of your teachers and your parapros, your nurses, the individuals who need to afford housing, not a $300,000 house. So since we had so many developers come to us, we thought we can't choose one, so we have to make a fair establishment for them to kind of go through. So I have worked with Crystal. She put together an RFP for developers that launched this past Friday. It will be open for a little bit. Everybody who was interested or have done development in the city of Tifton has been notified of this. This is a 100% funding for leverage of additional points for other funding sources. So they're not saying that the city has to put anything in, but they're saying you'll get additional points if you do. This would help for all the infrastructure for our next subdivision in Tifton. So it was something a really good opportunity set aside by Governor Kemp, and we wanted a piece of that as well. So we launched the RFP. We will be coming back to you guys not for too long to award a bid for that. So, and Crystal will be writing the grant for this. The next thing is, I know everybody has seen our progress on Commerce. It is all tore up, but I just wanted to let everybody know kind of what's going on and how we plan things in the city. So to kind of backtrack, we have our paving, LMIG paving for 2023. LMIG is a grant that we get, and the city puts funds towards that to help with paving. But before we pave, we like to go in and look at the infrastructure. Is there any water lines that need to be replaced? Well, in fact, there was. We have a water priority plan that is put together. We have professional engineers that have put that together. It is planning for the city for multiple years down the line. We used $1.5 million of ARPA money to do this project, and it is for the installation of water main, upsize and replacing leaking pipe segments. They are starting on Central. They will go from Commerce to 12th. They will go to Tift Avenue from 2nd to 12th. They will go to Larkin, 15th Avenue, Harlan Avenue, 13.5th Street, from Harlan to Central. And then after that is done, around March, we can't pave in the wintertime, but around March, we will come back and all those roads and more will be paved. So we will have new water lines under there and they will be paved. So some pretty big paving will be going on with Commerce and Tift Avenue. These roads were selected last December, and they are paid with the LMIG grant as well as city funding to total a little more than $1 million. So just want to give everybody an update. I know we've had a lot of questions about what's going on Central, but this is a part of a much larger project that we are using ARPA money for. All right, and that's all I got.
Where are we on 8th Street paving?
8th Street paving, that was put into TIA, wasn't it? It was put into TIA as a TIA 2 project.
Okay.
The executive committee actually has a meeting this week to talk about that, or to talk about all projects within the district. But it went into what we call TIA 2. We had TIA 1, now we're in TIA 2. And that will pick up where they ended on 8th Street and go out to Ferry Lake, all the way out to Ferry Lake if the project is selected.
Okay. All right, is there anybody we need to call or encourage to consider that? I know I'm going to reach out to our state delegation.
Yes, Ms. Penny would be the best one to reach
Okay.
out to. I have put feelers out with some of the ones on the executive committee. And we worked with our local engineer, Stacy Watkins, to do the presentation. He did a fantastic job on really explaining the need, why we need it, how many people it serves. You have a school, you have retail. I mean, you just have a whole list of things that serves 8th Street right there.
Right, okay. All right, any questions, gentlemen, of Emily's report? Okay. We'll close with mayor and council comments. Does anybody want to go first?
I got one. I want to pick up on what Emily said, and talking about repaving and stuff. And I'd ask, and I've mentioned this to Jeff, but, you know, they've done the 8th Street by Publix, and it looks wonderful. And I was afraid when they tore up all these yards of it was going to be like before and get all kind of calls. But included in that bid evidently was to put sod down. And so, not the first call, because the sod is down. Wonderful. My suggestion is going forward, we put that, when we do tear up these yards, putting seed and straw is a slap in the face. I've got more calls over what is this? I got straw. And it looks terrible, but they put sod. Now you have to water sod, and some of them I see have not decided to water it, but that's another story. But we really, if we're going to tear up somebody's yard, we need to put sod down and include that in the bid. And I was pleased to see the state did it, and it looks good.
Yeah.
And speaking of 8th Street and overpass, we seriously need to look and talk to DOT about traffic lights. There was another wreck there day before yesterday or something.
At the Publix exit?
At that exit there. You can't see. I mean, everybody knows several wrecks that have happened here recently, and yes, you can put traffic lights on overpasses. I mean, it happens all over. So can we talk to them, see what, I mean, since it's an interstate, I assume they have to get involved, but it is dangerous.
Well, my
Somebody's gonna
understanding-
get killed.
The whole reason they did that was because of the level of traffic. That just would seem to make sense, that supports what they're doing. You know, that was because of the level of traffic. The traffic light is
Yes,
needed, so.
it's horrible to try to get across there, and somebody's going to get killed. It was a bad wreck. I saw the ambulance there and the other day, and so if you would talk to them and see.
Talking about the one where.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I'm
that's the worst
Talking
one.
about on the exit ramp coming up.
Going on 8th Street going across. They need to stop one side, one way or the other.
People do fly if you're trying to get out of the parking lot there,
From Publix,
from Publix.
I agree.
Making a left turn is,
Nightmare.
it
I almost
is,
got
they
hit.
fly over that,
And they're coming
that
off
ramp.
that right,
Mhm.
right around.
Yeah.
And they don't stop, it's a yield,
It's
it's
a
not a
yield.
stop, so.
Yeah.
They need to stop them one way or the other on
Yeah.
either side of the overpass itself. And that, you see that too, when you have them at those, when you're getting off on your exit, you have to stop. There's a stop sign, there's a stoplight there.
When they redid that years ago, but when they built that up, if you're coming off the exit going south, you can't see because it's too high.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people coming over there, I mean, if they're coming over there at a good clip,
Yeah.
it's dangerous.
And the other way, going, if you're headed north and you're trying, you're on Second, you have to go on across to get over there, and you got them coming out of Publix, you got them coming down there, and now they've added that lane, there's even more traffic trying to get there, so.
It's all great economic development there. It's always positive.
I don't know where all this traffic comes from, but good gosh, it's everywhere.
All right, thank you for that, Jack. MJ, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
You good? Okay. Lester, Josh?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
I was gonna bring up paving, but my questions were answered. So I'm pretty pleased to know
There you
when
go.
we got a time frame now.
There
That's
you go.
good.
Well, I've got just a couple of things. One, want to make sure that you all know that you are personally invited to Sunset Tifton, which is put on by the Chamber of Commerce occasion about every quarter or so. But this Thursday, the Tift County Airport Authority is going to host Sunset Tifton at the Henry Tift Myers Airport. That's a big economic development tool for our community. It really does have a significant impact on Tifton and Tift County, so I'd love for you to come see the improvements to the airport. There's a new fixed base operator, a gentleman by the name of Eric Richter, who's doing a very good job. He has taken everything over. If you'll recall, it used to be a county, the county had it as an enterprise fund. Well, now everything's been shifted back to Eric. So, and I think you're going to be very excited to see all the work that's been done. Significant amount of money, state and federal money, has been spent on the airport, extending runways, repaving, lighting systems. It's pretty impressive. So invite you all to come out Thursday evening, October the 5th, between 4:30 and 6:30. It's kind of a drop-in, stay as long as you can. So come join us for that. Also really excited, we just launched the information about the Tifton Youth Council. And that's something that I've been asking about for a long time. I see other communities who have incredible youth councils. It exposes young people to government and community and the importance of community service and public service. And so our city team has worked on this for a pretty good while, and so we finally have launched the application process. So I'm real excited. We've got several young people that are applying. What's our deadline date? To Friday, okay. And what they just go, I saw the post and everything. There's a link, I think. They can
There's
click
a
on.
link there and on our website where they can click and fill that out. And I know Melissa is working on paper applications. We had a few stop by for paper applications.
Good. Okay. And so we'll be putting together a small board who will kind of oversee that. I'll serve on that. I'll be tasking one of you to serve with me on that, and then some city staff, and then staff from our school system and Tift Area Academy. So just very excited about that. The youth council will work in tandem with us, and will help us with some city projects. And I think it'll bring a new light to what we do. I'm always interested when I get the opportunity to go speak to young people, the ideas that they have and the perceptions they have and that kind of thing. So I think it'll be a real benefit for Tifton. But just want to mention that. Is there any other business to come before the council? Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.